This is Free Zone Radio.
Love, friendship, grief, and growing up. Common themes to literature and the human experience. But can a video game truly tell the story of what it means to be human? From Free Zone Radio, I'm Jason Crockett, and this is With Honors, Season 2. This summer, our honor sophomores have been questing throughout the 2022 novel Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Full disclosure, I love this book, and I love video games. But even if video games aren't your thing, Zevin's captivating story is about much more than pixels and controllers. It's about love, and best friends, and jealousy, and death, and grief, and life all over again. This week we're back to school, and we're exploring why this book was chosen for our summer reading. I get to talk to one of my co-teachers about what makes its writing so compelling, and why the lens of gaming connects to all of us, even in an English classroom. But before we jump into our conversation, let's hear from the lady who's helping me lead today's discussion.
Hi, I'm Hannah Randolph. I'm in my 7th year of teaching English. I do have a course of 9th grade honors English as well. I love this book because it really makes me think about the relationships I have with people. It makes me feel deeply, feel strongly. I think about how every person I meet, you leave them with an impression. I love the friendships this book creates.
It's a new year, new class, new you. Today's conversation was recorded in front of a live studio audience. You'll hear the kids' questions and comments at the end, giving you a front row seat to the game. Well, today, for the first episode of Season 2, we're sitting down with a live studio audience. We're sitting down with my new honors class. Everybody clap. Everybody clap. Ooh. What a good audience. They did way better than last year's audience. So last year, Coach Haston and I recorded in front of them, and they were so quiet. They just kind of sat there like looking at us, bless them. But you guys are already laughing and smiling and everything. I didn't coach them up for doing that. I didn't tell them to do that. Today, we're sitting down with my co-teacher, my former student teacher, my former student, generations of, I don't know, my life right here in front of me, Miss Hannah Randolph. Everybody give her a hand, too. And we're going to talk about our summer reading assignment. This year, it was the novel Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Why don't we start out by you, Miss Randolph, giving us a synopsis about the book?
Absolutely. So here we go. Imagine this. You're in a crowded train station. You're heading somewhere. Mind on your own problems when, through the noise and the crowd, you see a face you haven't seen in years. The love of your life. It's someone who knew you before life got complicated, before careers and relationships and bills. Someone who knew you when you were just you. That's the start of Gabrielle Zevin's 2022 novel, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Childhood friends Sam and Sadie are brought back together by chance, with one thing still tying them together, a love of video games. Not just playing them, but now creating them. They join forces, along with Sam's charismatic roommate, to build worlds, tell stories, and chase the impossible dream of making art that matters. But making games isn't the same as just playing them. Their friendship is tested by creative ambition, jealousy, success, failure, a heartbreaking death, and the simple fact that people change, even when you wish they wouldn't. Over the years, and across the country even, they'll win and lose together in ways that matter far beyond the screen. Zevin's book is a novel about friendship, love, art, grief, and the things we build that might just outlast us. It's about how we keep playing, even when the rules aren't fair and the game never really ends.
That totally sounded so genuine. It didn't sound scripted.
Not at all. No.
All right. So who are our main characters for this book? Tell us that first.
So we start off with Sam and Sadie, and then we join Marks to the group. Sam, he's described when he's young as round, cuddly, almost like a video game character himself. And then when he's older, he still is haunted by something. And the beauty of this book, it's told in different timelines, time jumps, and there's the mystery of what is he haunted by? And then, Sadie is one of those things that haunts him.
Oh, that's true. We also have their buddy. Do you consider him one of the main characters? Their third?
Marks. I feel like Marks is there to be a foil to...
You don't think he's a main?
I don't think he's a main.
Okay. Why do you think he's a foil?
I think he's a foil for Sam. I think he's there to highlight the things that Sam lacks in himself.
Right.
We know that Sam struggles with relationships, and Marks is described to be really good at relationships.
Yeah.
You leave a relationship with Mark's never feeling abused, never feeling hurt, and you almost think, did he break up with me or did I break up with him? And I think it's the same with friendships with Marks too.
Yeah.
And so there's not a lot of conflict with Marks for the most part. I think he's there to propel the relationship between Sam and Sadie.
Yeah. I was always taught that if you see three characters together in a story, they're going to make a character triangle. So those character triangles are always in contention with one another. If there's two people like Romeo and Juliet, they can get what they need from each other. Mm-hmm. But you put a third person in between them like Tybalt or Paris or somebody else, and now they're going to be pulling against each other. So Marks, he fills in the gaps for what Sam is lacking.
For sure.
But he also probably fills in some gaps for what Sadie is lacking.
Absolutely.
In her relationship with Sam, too. But they make a nice kind of trinity. They make a good trinity of people together.
And I think at one point, was it Sam's grandma or grandpa that said, there's no love like the love that you, Sadie, and Mark share?
Yeah.
So.
And then, but you're right, Marks doesn't even appear at the very beginning as like one of the main characters. Because when I first read the book, I just assumed he was a side NPC, that he was just somebody that roomed with Sam. I was under the impression that Dove, Mizra, was another main character at the very beginning. So maybe in the very beginning, Dove, Sam, Sadie are a different kind of triangle, like an unholy trinity or something. And then I was trying to think if there was somebody else. We've got other like supporting characters and stuff. One of my first questions for her, and probably for my class too, would be, what's your favorite video game?
Okay, so I thought about this. When I was a kid growing up, I loved PC computer games, and I loved a cozy Nancy Drew game on my computer. Cozy game. But we also had a PlayStation 2, and Kingdom Hearts probably was my favorite.
Okay. I remember
game.
That being a game. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
I've never played Kingdom. Have any of you ever played Kingdom Hearts? Most of you are shaking your head no. I grew up in the 80s, and Super Mario Brothers, like that was my first. I remember my parents having an Atari, but I don't remember really playing it. But I remember Super Mario, Legend of Zelda, and all of that.
We did pull out the Atari sometimes and play Centipede.
Oh, yeah.
Centipede.
I'm telling you, as a kid, when my dad wanted to go to the bowling alley, my brother and I were so up for it, but not because of bowling, but because they had an awesome arcade. And because I would get to play things like Ghosts and Goblins, I would get to play a lot of different things. I would lose quarters after quarters after quarters. Like we probably spent way unholy amount of money on it. But I remember loving video games like that. I think a lot of my childhood, Jason Crockett was just in front of a video game a lot of the time. I didn't really play computer games. Like I played some when I was in high school, but I didn't really play them until I got to be an adult.
Yeah, I stopped once somewhere in elementary school. We had like a family computer, a PC set up, and, I had like Barbie games on there, Nancy Drew games, but I grew out of it
At
quick.
some point, she grew out of it. She put childhood things away, and this guy grew into a man-child who did not put his childhood toys away. I still have like there's a closet in my house that has like totes of Nintendo stuff, Sega stuff, like a lot of it. And I just can't let go of it yet. But it clutters up like an entire hallway closet in my house. I do play on my Steam account now. I love me a good Steam summer sale. But I play a lot of Civilization. I love that game. Oh, there was one I'd bought this summer that I was playing a lot of too, and I can't remember now off the top of my head. Well, you suggested this book back in the spring semester to me, and we're like, hey, you've really got to read this. You had read this a couple of years ago. Is
So
that right?
I looked back and I read it in April of 2023.
Okay, so I think that was like a year after it came out. It came out in July of 22, so almost a year later.
Right.
You recommended it to me. You immediately dropped that it was about people who created video games that had a very 1980s start to it, and I was instantly bought into it. What made you first really like this book?
Oh, man. So I looked back this morning and I found my review of it, and I laughed, I cried, I was angry at times. By the end, I was content. I don't know, like it made me deeply feel.
Yeah.
I felt all the feels. I loved that it was just this saga of, like, immediately you knew this was going to be a saga. The jumping from childhood to college and then as adults. I don't know. I love a story about friendships. And I feel like this was a relatable, true version of friendships. You go through times where your friendships are awesome, you grow apart, maybe something happens, but then you find your way back to those friendships. Sometimes you don't, but, sometimes you do. And I liked that this was a gritty tale of friendships.
I find myself telling teenagers that every year, and they never want to hear this part, but it has become something that I have discovered is universally true. You have your friendships in high school right now that that's your best friend or your best friends. How many of you have known your best friends for like years? Maybe elementary school or whatever. Okay. Some of you are in love. Don't raise your hand. Some of you are in love. Some of you are in the perfect relationship. He loves me and I'm going to get married and I'm going to be what? Some of you are in love. And maybe you've been together, 6 days. Maybe you've been together 6 years or something like that. But I always have students who are like, nuh-uh, we're going to get married, we're going to live, or she's been my best friend since forever, and we're going to graduate, and we're going to be roommates, and we're going to go to the same school, and we're going to have the same jobs and everything. But it has become my experience that graduation night is often the last time you are ever together consistently with those people. It's not that they stop being your friend. It's just that naturally your paths go in different directions and you just grow apart. Miss Randolph, did you have a lot of friends in high school?
I did. I had different friend groups. I'm still friends with several of the people that I met in 6th grade.
Really?
Some of them in this building, and and we're still really good friends. But one of my core friend groups, just like you said, graduation night, we drifted apart, and we didn't hang out anymore.
Yeah.
And I ended up meeting another one of my best friends the first day of college.
Yeah.
So, as an adult, you still make friends. And, I feel like with my friend that I met in college, I see that, we can go 6 or 7 months without talking. And then we see each other and we pick up exactly where we left off.
You pick up the video game right where
We
you got left off.
pick the video game back up.
I moved around a lot as a kid, so it was like every year, every couple of years, I always went to a new school. And it wasn't really until high school that I had like a stable friend group. And I think there were like 3 of us. Yeah, I had like 3 best friends. And then I had a lot of other people that I just knew and hung out with. I was friends with a lot of people, but I didn't have like a wide variety of best friends. And now, when I think about those best friends, one of them went to MTSU the year after we graduated, and I kind of stopped talking to him. He went to law school. He lived in Malibu. He lived in Japan. He lives in Japan now with his family. The second one, he joined up in the military. He came back. We were best friends again for a while. And then he moved to go join the Border Patrol. And he got married, had a couple of kids, and now lives on the other border as Border Patrol. And I haven't talked to him in forever. And my third best friend, he and I were together multiple years in college. And then he moved over to East Tennessee. He got married. He has a couple of kids. And I haven't seen him. I've never met his kids. They're like 10, 11 years old. I've never met his kids.
Wow.
I've seen Facebook pictures of them for 10, 11 years. But I know that if he called right now, I'd be like, hey, what's up, yo, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'd be able to just talk to him exactly like you said. But your friend groups do go in a lot of different directions. Like Sam, like Sadie, they split apart. Sometimes you and your best friends get into the most vicious fights. I'm looking at some of you right now. Do you and your best friends ever have the most vicious? I'm seeing so many smiles, but I'm seeing one right here shake her head no. You and your best friends never fight? Ever? It's because you're perfect. Is that what it is? That's what it is. A lot of times I feel like the people that you are closest to is who you have the most vicious fights with.
Yeah.
Because you're so passionate about things with them.
And it's like they know you the best.
Right.
They know the things that you're good at, but they also know your weaknesses and your flaws.
Oh, and when you're mad, you know exactly how to hurt them and exactly how to hurt you. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, that got dark all of a sudden.
I
know. One of the first things on here is, why did you recommend it? You said that you think this makes such like a great saga kind of story. Mm-hmm. It's a great story of friendship. Why is a book like this great for sophomores, for honors summer reading, for studying in a literary classroom, any of it?
Yeah, so I feel like as you go throughout high school, like you said, you are going in and out of these friend groups, and part of it is learning how to handle conflict, handle these hard situations that you're faced with. And that's the beauty of literature, seeing how other people, other characters, how writers write about their characters, handling those situations. You're able to walk away and learn something from that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Once I got into it, I thought the same thing. I thought it would be really relatable because while you guys are like 15, 16 in that zone, Sam and Sadie start out and they're already 19? No, they're already like in their early 20s. They're like 21, 22 at the start of the book. But it does flash back to when they met. So it walks through their childhood, their teenage years, and into their young adult lives. I think a lot of times, sophomores, you guys stand at this crux. Ooh, that's a good vocab word. You should steal that. C-R-U-X, crux. So it's like this crossroads, this crux of you're not a child anymore, but you're not an adult yet. Matter of fact, that's kind of why we call you sophomores. Do you know that? You got your 4 different grades. This is such a tangent. Why do we call them freshmen? Because they're fresh off the boat. They are the freshies. They are brand new to the high school experience. They are fresh meat to the high school experience. Seniors, because they are the oldest level in the school. Juniors are one step below them. Sophomores have the weirdest class name, sophomore. But it actually comes from 2 root words. Soph, meaning knowledge or wisdom, and more, as in fool, as in moron. Sophomore means wise fool. How awful is that? That we call you all wise morons. I love sophomores, and I think the great thing about sophomores is that you stand at this crux. You are not in middle school anymore. You're not these pukey little freshmen in the hallway that are like 6, 7. You're not any of that. But you're also not yet seniors. You're not 18. You're not 19. You're not living on your own yet. You want to be treated like adults, and yet you're not quite at that zone yet. And I feel like Sam and Sadie, even in their early college years, are kind of like caught in the same kind of zone. Sam's living on his own in an apartment with Marks. They're going to college. Sadie is living in her own circumstances, wanting to be treated like an adult, and yet in a relationship that treats her like a child, manipulates her. So we have these competing urges. It takes a while to grow out of that kind of thing, too. And I just thought, sophomores are going to appreciate that, especially the honors kids, too. Also, it's like so many of you talk about these TV shows about relationship dramas. You would appreciate relationship drama, friendship drama, that kind of thing. Jason Crockett loves fantasy and sci-fi. I love fantasy and sci-fi. But a lot of my students don't like these books about gods and monsters. I do. And I thought, well, this is one of those where it's not about gods and monsters. It's about real teenagers, real early 20s people, and it's relationships that we all can respect. So some pros of teaching it: you get to treat people in an honors classroom like adults. You get to have mature conversations about things. What are some cons of teaching a text like this?
Coming across mature content.
Oh, true. Can you talk about mature content without talking about mature content?
Sure. Things that make you feel uncomfy.
Like what?
Uncomfortable. It could possibly be relationship situations. It could be, violent situations. It could be, triggering moments for people.
Yeah.
Domestic situations. Just any of that makes you feel uncomfortable and you're not necessarily sure, why am I reading this?
Right. I think a book like this, you may not stumble into it. This is for any of our listeners who have never come across it before. You may not stumble into it so early on in the book, but eventually you'll notice mature language. There's cussers in the book. Okay. I knew that a couple of years ago I had assigned a book over the summer called Robopocalypse, which is about an AI that takes over and launches a war against humanity. And it wound up being the same year that in December, ChatGPT went live. And I was like, oh, I think this is my fault. I think I did this.
There's got to be a Simpsons episode out there somewhere about Jason Crockett.
There's got to be, right?
AI.
What is he assigning? Also, because in 2020, I assigned a book called Station 11, which is about a worldwide plague that killed a lot of people. And that was in 2020. I think that might be my fault too. So next summer, I'm assigning a book about a teacher who wins $67 million in a lottery. And we're going to see. But yeah, I knew that in Robopocalypse, it had a lot of violence. It had a lot of cussers. And this, I saw the cussers. But every year, I try to be sensitive to that. I'm not a prude about things, but we're mature in here and we're classy guys and dames in here. I don't want us to be talking so rough and vulgar all the time. It's not the New York City subway, right? It's not downtown Nashville or whatever. We can talk about things without having to repeat the things. And I just have kids who are all the time like, well, we hear worse in the hallway. That's not a pass. That's not like, oh, well, we can do whatever. But, this is real, too. For me, that's another reason why we teach things like Of Mice and Men, John Steinbeck. He gives you characters who have coarse language, coarser than this. And when a student or a parent is like, why are we reading such language? Well, it's not because John Steinbeck wanted to be funny about it. It's not because he's like, ooh, let's be as edgy as we can with as much. He's not trying to do that. He's depicting migrant workers. He's depicting, manual labor workers in the 30s, and he's giving them an authentic voice. If we deny Sam, Sadie, Dove, if we deny them that voice, they're going to come across as cheap, fake. They're not going to be real, like, I know that person. And then you're going to be like, okay, well, it was a book, but did it really feel worth reading?
I think back to, there's a portion of the book when Sadie, she's with Dove, they're playing a video game, and she's disgusted by the game. And she says, okay, there's Sadie the gamer, then there's Sadie the world builder. There's Hannah Randolph the reader, but then there's Hannah Randolph the English teacher. And yeah, I might read some things that make me uncomfortable and know, hey, I don't believe this. These are not my values and morals. But, later on, Mazur's doing an interview and he says, I don't want to be deaf to the experiences that are not my own.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be deaf to those experiences. I want to see what other people are experiencing that I might not experience myself.
Yeah.
But it makes me more empathetic.
Yeah. And I do feel like that's something that we as a society, we as teachers of people, we need to be good encouragers of, because there's way too much, from my opinion is there's way too much shouting and not nearly enough of, let me listen to what's actually going on with you. Let me listen to what you're actually upset about, and let's have a conversation about that. I also would caution our readers, like, it's more than just, you bring up, it's more than just like the language. There's relationship issues in here. There are mature scenes about interactions between Dove and Sadie. And I think that really is going to throw new readers for a loop, especially if you didn't give them like I tried to give these guys a warning of, if you're uncomfortable with reading it, we can provide you an alternate read or whatever.
Right.
But if nobody knew going into anything, you're going to see Sadie, who is 21, 22, a university student, in a relationship with her 28-year-old professor.
Right.
And that's already a huge red flag. Huge red flag
For
that
sure.
this has crossed a boundary between teacher-student relation. Huge red flag. Dove is also crude in all of his language. He is so full of himself. And here he's manipulative of this vulnerable student in a romantic relationship.
Right. He has an issue with control.
It's about control. It's not because Gabrielle Zevin is trying to be edgy with, oh, let's show a relationship like this. Because it should be a warning to young students of either gender that there are people out there who will take advantage of you if you're not careful. And it can look like, sometimes it can look like the big bad wolf, and sometimes it can look like somebody that is supposed to be the nicest, cleanest person that you'd ever thought.
Right.
You have to be a good decider about whose influence you allow into your life. And Sadie doesn't do that. Sadie doesn't do that here in the beginning.
Which I think is a good example to show that she's still young.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about, yes, they are in early college, but she's still young and she's still immature. She's still figuring out who she is and what she wants. And, you know, she's not strong enough in herself right now to realize this is not a good situation I'm in.
Yeah. Even though if you had asked her, she would tell you, I know what I'm doing. I'm in charge of it. I'm fine with this. She's clearly not.
No.
There are also issues of death that happen in the book, too. A young Sam, like he thinks to a flashback when Sam was young and he and his mom were driving around or were walking around, and a woman throws herself from the top of a building. There are acts of violence that just absolutely break your heart. So readers need to think about, you know, a lot of people want trigger warnings. They want to think about, you know, what's going to be in this book that I'm going to encounter that's going to be upsetting to me. There are some of those things, but real life is also going to engage with those things too. And I think that's a great quote that you bring up. Sam wants us to not be deaf to those experiences. We shouldn't be blind or naive about the things that we're going to encounter. What about teaching it in a literary classroom? Like you and I talked about some connections this summer that it's like, oh, that reminds me of, like, how does something like this book connect to other things that we teach?
So we talked about this summer, The Great Gatsby. We talked about, you know, you're going to see those themes of personal ambition and wanting to succeed, wanting to be the best at what you do. But there's also relationship parallels between later Gatsby and Daisy and then Sam and Sadie. And it's awesome to be able to read a book and then curate this list of things that also connect to that and talk about the ways that they parallel.
Yeah. Gatsby is chasing after a fairy tale image of a girl he used to be in love with. And he's doing everything he can to get this rich girl to fall in love with him all over again. So much so that he makes himself a mega billionaire. He builds this giganto mansion of a house right across the water from where she lives with her husband now. He throws parties and fireworks and everything every night so that she will come over and he can be like, oh, hey, you're still around? Remember me? And then lure her into a relationship. Mazer kind of does the same thing when he and Sadie have broken apart, when tragedy has split them apart, and she's gone incommunicado from their life. He builds an entire video game world based on the things that she likes. He goes into creative mode all over again and creates up an alter identity, multiple alter identities.
That's my favorite part of the book.
Is it really?
It is. That's my favorite portion, the pioneers portion.
Tell me why.
I love it. It's like a story within a story.
It does.
I mean, at first, I think the first time I read it, I was so confused. I was like, wait, what is going on? Who are these people? What is this world? Because it's told in that third person point of view now of we've switched gears. We're in a new setting. You don't really get the background of Mazer building that game. We know that he wants to use Oregon Trail to win Sadie back. He knows that that's how he can connect. But I think it's such a beautiful way to show that they're platonic soulmates. Like, he knows how to pull her out of this darkness she's in.
It also reminded me of other movies and stuff like Ready Player One.
Which I've never seen.
Oh,
that is one of my mom's favorite books, though.
Have any of you ever watched Ready Player One? Oh, my gosh. Okay, so all the pop culture references, all the video games, all the 1980s, everything, that's my childhood. I'm reading one right now that I was thinking, oh, if you liked Tomorrow, if you liked Ready Player One, you should read this book called Dungeon Crawler Carl. Which sounds so dumb. Okay, it is a lot of comedy. It is fun. In one instance, so there's this guy named Carl, and Carl's this big. He's like Preston. Okay, imagine Preston, and he's taking care of his girlfriend's cat. He just broke up with his girlfriend because she was cheating on him, and he's got stuck with this cat. The cat's acting like an idiot. It runs outside on a winter night. He's outside in a jacket, boxers, and his ex-girlfriend's pink Crocs, because he's got to wear something, to get the cat. When suddenly, in an instant, every building, every car, every interior suddenly collapses and annihilates humanity. Everything is suddenly crushed in an instant. And he's outside with this cat that's clawing him up. There's like this AI voice and video game pop-ups that appear in his vision saying, congratulations, your world has been taken over by this alien race. If you ever hope to redeem it, you have to play the World Dungeon game. It becomes a real-life, televised video game where you have to, level by level, become a better person. It was really funny in the first couple of chapters, and I think there's video game references, pop culture, whatever. Not so much the actual like deep relationship stuff in there. But it reminded me of that. Also, tell them about like why this matters to Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah. So that was another thing when I first read this book. I loved Sadie and the way that she incorporates literature into her games. So, you know, she has the Emily Blaster game at the beginning with Emily Dickinson. And then she creates Master of Revels. And it is this awesome game with Christopher Marlowe, and you are going through and you have all of these awesome Shakespeare references. She builds an extension pack. It's awesome. And like the literature nerd in me, I think, you know, Shakespeare I've always loved. I loved it. I just loved, you know, the title is an allusion to Macbeth.
That's right.
And, you know, we get Twelfth Night, and, you know, they're watching the play. They get the idea for the start of Ichigo. It's just woven in there beautifully.
Even in the spring, you're going to read Hamlet for me. It's going to be one of the last things that we do. And sometimes Sam Mazer feels like a Hamlet to me.
Yes.
And sometimes
this
Sadie feels like...
tortured character.
Yeah. Sometimes Sadie feels like a little bit of Ophelia, but definitely Sam is Hamlet. To be or not to be. Do I do this or do I not? I think it's also great for studying craft. You bring up it's not always linear, that it, you know, jumps back in with flashbacks. There was also the part where Sadie invents a video game called Both Sides, about how the choices you make in your life are kind of like alternate realities. Maybe Summer had this guy who came up to her and was like, Summer, will you date me? And she's like, no. And she goes on to live that life. There's an other world where she said yes. And what's that world like? There's a world where Trevor was approached by a recruiter who's like, Trevor, I need you to help me save the world. And he said, no, I got to get to Crockett's first block. But there's an other world where he said, yes, I'll help you fight this alien menace. And then he goes on to do whatever. Even that chapter Didn't it also start off with like A-side, B-side titles? So you got to
Like
see
1A, 1B.
1A, 1B.
You saw how the same character
Yes.
handled the same situation.
I think that's just clever in how she structures it.
If you like that idea, you should read The Midnight Library.
By Matt Haig.
Yes.
I did read that.
Yes.
Yeah. So you love that book too?
I like it, yeah.
Okay, I liked it. I didn't love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's my favorite book ever. But I liked it.
Okay.
I liked the idea of, what would happen if I had done this?
Yeah.
How would my life be different?
The character in that book dies or is on the verge of dying, and it's a she, right?
Yes.
Wakes up in a library where all the books in this infinite library are alternate lives you could have had if.
You had done this.
And you
she
have
can
one redeeming choice.
Yes, she can go pick a book and then put herself back into that moment.
Right.
And see how would my life had been different.
So Ainsley goes and picks the green book, and in that book, you were like the top athlete in the universe. But you're in a really chaotic relationship. You have no good ties with your family. You feel horrible about yourself. So you put the green book back. You go find a purple book. And in that one, you're like, I don't know, completely impoverished. You are destitute. You have no money, no home, no anything. But you're in a really great relationship with a guy that, you know what, you just thought, that's my person. Do you pick the purple book, or do you give up that perfect love to go find something else? And you only get to pick one time. If you put the book back, it's gone forever. That life is gone forever. And she has to pick, whatever her story is going to be. I wanted you to talk also about favorite lines from the book.
So
What would you have picked?
I have a favorite line. It happens very early. So it says, to allow yourself to play with another person is no small risk. It means allowing yourself to be open, to be exposed, to be hurt. It is the human equivalent of the dog rolling on its back. I know you won't hurt me, even though you can. It is the dog putting its mouth around your hand and never biting down. To play requires trust and love. And I just think, like I told you, this book to me is friendship, this ultimate platonic, soulmate situation. And that's friendship. Putting your trust in someone, loving that person, allowing them to know these things about yourself. And it's like, you can use this against me, but I'm trusting you with this information. And I just love that, they're relating that to video games.
Yeah. One of mine toward the end is in the Pioneers game, where the question comes up about love. And it's under the guise of the character Alabaster, who says, and what is love in the end, except the irrational desire to put evolutionary competitiveness aside in order to ease someone else's journey through life. Love is about self-sacrifice. Like, true love is not about lust. It's not about making me feel better about me. True love is about sacrificing everything you've got to build something for somebody else who needs that in their life too. Even though your biology may say, no, do this, that feels good. True love is about making somebody else better. I also had one from Marx too, where at some point Marx is thinking, what is a game? It's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It's the possibility of infinite rebirth, infinite redemption, the idea that if you keep playing, you could win. No loss is permanent because nothing is permanent ever. And I think that's important to me, because I think that's a really inspiring thing to think that, you know what, Preston, maybe he didn't do everything right today. Maybe he feels like I'm just in a slump right now. I can't win for losing. Everything I do is the wrong choice. I keep making mistakes. Everybody's mad at me. Well, hope, the thing that keeps getting us through, is the idea that tomorrow, there's a day that you will get it right. There's a day that we can hit the reset button. There is an infinite number of possibilities. Nothing is permanent. This too shall pass. One day you'll get it right. Even if it's tragedy, like losing somebody, like a main character or a mostly main character. Should we talk about that too?
Let's talk about it.
So one of the things I was wanting to say is, like, what's our favorite or least favorite parts?
I put that as my least favorite part. And it's a cop-out answer because it's also one of my favorite parts. I have a love-hate relationship with part 7, the NPC.
Oh, yeah?
I do.
So why do you hate it? What happens in this part?
I hate it because Marks dies.
Marks dies. So that is your big spoiler. At one point, Marks does die. Why do you hate it so much?
Because Marks has never done anything wrong to anyone. Marks is the ultimate good guy.
Yeah.
And, he takes a bullet basically for Sam.
Yeah.
Sam is not there. That bullet was meant for Mazer. And
Right.
Marks, he tries to talk him down. He's not scared of the people. He's scared of the gun. But, it just, to me, it was unjustified.
Yeah. Later on in Gatsby, one of the things that Nick Carraway says that I hated everybody else in that town. I hated everybody else, all these other rich people. But Gatsby, he was the only one that was unaffected by all that foul dust. He was the only one that had hope. And I do think that's the one thing that I like about Gatsby. But Marks, for sure, is that Marks sees the best in you. And we're going to get into talking about archetypes here in a couple of weeks. But yeah, Christ-like figures are not literally Jesus Christ. Christ-like figures are literary characters who fulfill a role that often they are good people who are made to die for some other sake, for some other goodness. And Marks is made to die. And because of his goodness, it hurts us all the worse.
It absolutely destroyed me.
I put that down as my favorite part of the
Like
book.
I said, it's a cop-out answer because it
Down is my favorite.
is my favorite and least favorite. I
Yeah.
literally wrote that down. Cop-out answer.
Yeah. I don't think it's a cop-out at all. I mean, I hate that it happened. I think it is one of the better written parts of the story.
It is beautifully written.
Because he's in the hospital and he's like in the coma and he's fading, right? He keeps coming to, but he's fading. And the part where he's leaving us for good, I was telling my AP class about this book. They asked what the sophomores had read, and I was telling them about it, and I was like, but I can't tell you the spoiler. And they were like, we're not going to read it, tell us. So I told them about Marks dying, and guys, I got choked up. A grown man got choked up in front of my seniors telling them about it. The part where he's fading away, he's envisioning him and all of his loved ones, everybody that he ever loved on that peach farm, and who's at the top of the ladder but the love of his life, Sadie, who turns around and offers it to him and is like, why not? Why not? Right? And Marks is like a bird that flies away, and there's tomorrow, and there's tomorrow, and there's tomorrow. I was telling Tanya Savage the other day, I was like, my vision for heaven is that one day I'm going to wake up and it's going to be like summer vacation in Tennessee. And I'm going to go down the road at Grandpa's house and there's going to be everybody that I've ever loved. Everybody's going to be there in the yard waiting. And there's going to be Grandpa who's going to be like, well, look who finally showed up. It's going to be something good like that. And holy cow, Gabrielle Zevin wrote a great book, but she really got the writing great in that scene.
There's something about that second person point of view that it just speaks to you.
If you can elicit an emotional reaction out of a hateful 46-year-old man like me, I think you did it great. You did a great job with it. All right, well, let's wrap up. We want to talk about the movie version. They're making a movie version out of this. Any idea when it's coming out? Do we know?
No.
I think they're in like the early stages of it right now. Who would you have play your main characters?
Okay, so I told you earlier that I had this figured out.
I only made AI art out of them. I never really had a good idea for actors, but Miss Randolph's got it.
I found my actors. Okay, so I have my young Sam and my adult Sam. Young Sam, I have Hudson Yang from Fresh Off the Boat. Anybody know? He just looks like a young Sam. He's soft, round, looks like a video game character. Then my adult Sam, his name is Will Sharp. He was in season 2 of The White Lotus. He's on a new Netflix show. Can't you just imagine? That's Sam. That's Mazer. Then I've got my young Sadie. She's Darcy Camp. young Sadie. Can I see it? Okay. Adult Sadie. Okay, I see some nodding. Yeah, I feel good. Okay. Hyping me up. Okay, here's Mark's. Ready? Riverdale fans. I think Charles Melton from Riverdale.
Sadie over here just grabbed her heart like, oh.
Yes. Because, they talk about how attractive Marks is and that he looks like an actor. I mean, come on. That's Marks right there. So those are mine. And then I was thinking on the way to school today, I was driving, went to Starbucks this morning. I've been up way too long. So I drove to Starbucks. I went to Starbucks. On the way back, I was like, who would play Dove?
Oh.
I'm going to say Adam Driver.
Oh. Yeah, the guy that played Kylo Ren in Star Wars. Adam Driver.
That's
that
my Dove.
Be Dove.
Talking about his little man bun. I could see.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, leather pants, silver jewelry.
I like that.
There you go.
I mean, I don't like that, but that fits.
Yeah.
That tracks.
And, he can be dry like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Aggressive.
Aggressive.
Male.
Absolutely. So that's my movie. Boom.
Overall, things I really liked about the book are like the character relationships, the evolution of characters, the structure. You really see Sam change and grow into a valuable person. Sadie, I really struggled to like Sadie throughout this whole book. Am I the only one? Did anybody struggle to like? Oh.
I like Sadie.
I struggle to like her because she blames Sam for everything. She blames other people for everything. But by the end, she has a chance to be a mother. She has a chance, to be whatever. And she and Sam kind of reconnect. Dove even kind of changes a little bit in the book. I don't think that I like him any better or whatever, But yeah, totally. I want to open it up to you all. Who's got a question for us? Sarah Kate, come on up here. Now you got to come up to my microphone. You got to come on up to my microphone. No, get up. Come here, you brilliant human being.
I think Johnny Depp should play Dove, like young.
Oh.
I was just thinking about
He's so good.
Okay. I like it.
I like that. Somebody else. I'm going to call on people to come up here. This is Whitney.
Mine was a statement about what y'all said earlier about the whole, like, how one choice can, like, affect your entire, like, life. Like, it's, like, a universal. Like, there could be different universes where you have different things. And I really like that thought. I think about that a lot, how, like, you can change the entire, like, rest of your life just by making one decision, just by saying no to one person, just by walking down a different path. You can change everything.
Yeah, I like that. Get up here, Jackson. Come on up.
So, about Dove's casting, I liked the line where it said he looked like a poor man's Chris Cornell. If Chris Cornell was still alive, he should just, for the funnies, play Dove.
That would be perfect. Eva, get up here. I see now she does. She's like, well, I didn't have to go then. I love it.
I think when you guys were talking about, like, how relatable the characters are, like, their writing style, I think is really, like, I'm saying like a lot, but I get it because I was listening to the audiobook instead of, like, reading it while I was at work. And I remember I was mopping one time during, like, when he died, and I got so upset about it, I went to the back to go talk to the cooks about it. Grown men, by the way, like 57. I was talking about how upset I was about this character dying while they're, like, slaving away in the back over these hot oil grills. They didn't get it, but I understood because I was so upset that I had to go talk to someone about it because the characters were good. It, like, sucks you in, especially because the entire book is narrated by a woman, except for when Mark's, the, like, passage about him dying. That was the only thing narrated by a man the entire book. And that got me.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
All right, yeah. Come on up, Ainsley. Right here, boo.
Okay, so one thing I thought that was, like, written beautifully was the death of Sam's mom. That hit me like a freight train. The entire scene, I bawled my eyes out. And so I just love how it, like, well, don't love, but I, like, have such a strong attachment to how it, like, shapes his life and how little Sam was so affected by it and how it, like, totally changed him as a person because you can see the shift from, like, openly asking questions in the beginning, like in New York, when he's, like, playing the video game after the death of the other Annalee. And then you just see him totally shut off after this like big, like life-changing character dies, and so it's like really life-changing for him. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring up, because we never got to talk about that his mom's name is Anna Lee, and yet there are numerous Anna Lees that like echo in here. And I know Zevin was setting us up of, hey, this is how it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We know he loses his mom, and this Anna Lee died. This Anna Lee. And then when she finally dies, I still was an idiot about it. I was like, oh, wait, she died? Yes, she's been dead like since the start of the book.
And that was part of the beauty of the jumping around from different times. You knew his mom died, and you're like, what happened to the mom? What happened to the mom? What happened to the mom? And I just love how it builds that suspense and that mystery up a little bit.
Yeah. Nobody else? Come on up, Boo. Right there.
So whenever Sadie met up with Marks again, not Marks, Dove, like I wish she got more clarity from that, because I feel like that wasn't the justice she needed to move on from that. So...
You're talking about at the end of the book or
Yeah.
older?
Yeah.
Well, what did you want him to get out of it?
I don't know. I just wanted more of a precise ending. I don't know. Kind of like just justice for her, for everything she went through.
Can I tell you what I think about it?
Yeah.
So I feel like, and this is one of the reasons why I like books like this, life is not always wrapped up so nice and neat. And so I think sometimes that's why when I did my review, I said I felt content by the end. And I also felt like this book tore me apart, but stitched me back together roughly, because there are things you're not super happy about. But there's things about life that it's like, if I could write this, I would do this and make it this way. But life is messy, and you're not always happy with the resolutions that you get. And I think that's why it's so relatable.
Okay, so I have like two things that I came to the conclusion of. So one of them, I don't know, I guess this is me just being a bit of a hopeless romantic, but I feel like a part of me always kind of wanted Sadie and Sam just to feel like I was rooting for them for a lot of the book.
It was a will they, won't they?
Yeah.
You're like, are they about to get together?
And I wanted them to so bad, because that's just romance lover in me. I'm like, come on, it's right in front of you. And they worked so well together. But then you realize as the book progresses that it's more than that romanticness, because they have that platonic love for each other, and it means a lot to them. And you see how it would benefit them any more than being in a romantic relationship would. And I feel like the way that they wrote, the way she wrote, that was very beautiful, and very it really got the point across. I love that. And then also second, a part of me that made me kind of I guess made me have a little more dislikement for the character Sadie is the fact that when she went back and got back in that relationship again with Dove the second time, I was like, okay, so she saw how bad it was after the first time when she went into that depressive episode. A part of me wanted to see her hey, stand up for yourself. Don't put yourself back in the situation where you're in that same recycled situation. And she does it again. She goes right back to Dove and, is in that manipulation cycle, and she just doesn't realize it, and she's just doesn't listen to anybody. And I'm like, you could have, you saw the first time how badly this ended, and you just don't. How do you not realize that? And it does definitely show how naive she is. And I think that was one of my things where I'm just okay, well, that's not great in the whole scheme of a character, So yeah.
I love that she brings that up, because it's I think I was just talking about that in class 2 days ago, where you get all these foreshadowing clues, and it's why do they keep making these mistakes? The red flags are right there in front of them. And somebody said it one time, it's because you don't know what kind of story you're the main character of. Are you in a romantic comedy, or are you in a Greek tragedy? and if you're in the Greek tragedy, you're blind to these things and you don't know that yet. Jason Crockett, I've said it a billion times, I've struggled with my weight ever since I was a kid. I was a chubby kid. I was a chubby guy in high school, and then I would run, and then I got fatter again, and then I got into weights, and then I got fatter again, and then I got really big into weights, and then I became a dad, and then I started teaching high school, and I gained 50 pounds my first year here. I've always been struggling with my weight. I've been doing better lately, and the other night my wife made me two hamburgers, okay? that doesn't sound like a lot or whatever, but I'm saying I was so full after the first burger. The second one sat on the plate, and I was just like looking at it like, ugh, don't do it, Jabba the Hutt. Don't do it. Like, don't eat it. But it kept sitting there and just looking at me. And I thought, it's going to make you feel bad. It's going to make you feel bad. You're going to hate yourself. You're going to be whatever. And it was just looking at me like, do it. Do it, big man. Look at these onions. And what did I do? I leaned forward and I chowed down, right? And as soon as I was done, I leaned back on the couch and I was like, what is physically wrong with you? Why would you do this? Sadie keeps going back to these relationships, and it's like, what is physically wrong with you, honey, that you went back to him? And she blames Sam for it. Well, you drove me back to it. No. You put yourself into it multiple times. Yes, please.
Kind of what you're saying of going back to like bad habits. She does a great job of showing how humans are like a creature that like rely on comfort and what they've known, and even if it's not comfortable. So like she shows that through Sadie and how she runs back even though it hurts her. And Sam, how he gets like, he has times in which he does good mentally, and then he gets, whenever he had his leg chopped off, or his foot chopped off, it just showed how he gets back into this like depressive state and just like beats himself up, even if the people around him are like telling him, you're okay, we've got you. He just doesn't believe it because he's found like his life. He's just had this trying to do it on his own, and he doesn't want to let people in. So he like runs back to himself even though it hurts him.
Yeah.
So
That's good. Sam also, you were talking about wanting Sam and Sadie to just absolutely get together. I figured that they would. I figure I get that Marks and Sadie make so much chemistry together, that they're great together, and I love it too. But Sam and Sadie have been like the pair. How do you have Sam if you don't have Sadie? How do you have day if you don't have night, right? But Sadie, what made me feel good about them at the end is that Sam asks her, like he finally brings it up, of how come we never got together? How come we never had that romance? And she kind of looks at him dumbfounded like, you were so much more than just a romance to me. You and I didn't have a love affair. You and I created universes together. And when she said that, I was like, oh, that's right. That, you know what? In a way, that's right. Like they had something that, you know, as wonderful as Mark's is, like they never had that. So I do appreciate that. Anybody? Come on up. Yeah.
So basically what I like about it is how much the book talks about Sadie and Dove's relationship, because books that you read in middle school, high school, they never talk about stuff like that. They never get deep into the toxic relationships and things like that. But that's always a thing you're going to go through at some point in your life, and it's so nice to see it at such a young age, because you're preparing yourself for it. You're seeing it before it all happens, even though it's already happened to me. Which is because they're sinner. You see it, and it's nice it feels real. It makes the book feel real, and it makes me feel almost like I'm in the book, because it feels like a real world, rather than just I'm reading words on a page.
Yeah. Cool. It feels authentic. I also like that she said, I liked that we had toxic relationships in this. I liked that we get that. I mean, I know she didn't mean, oh yeah, toxic relationship, good.
maybe that is what I meant.
Right, but maybe. I will say we never get to read that until sophomore year. Sophomore year is basically all about that. Sophomore year is about tragedy and
It's a big trauma dump.
it is one big trauma dump through sophomore year. I mean, freshman year you have Romeo and Juliet, which but then it's like sophomore year is just never ending. It's just trauma dump from start to finish. When you get into Gatsby, when you get into Hamlet, when you get into Antigone, when you get into all of these. Okay, so let's rate it real quick, and then we'll close out our episode. On a Goodreads score, you give it a score of 1 to 5. 5 is the best, 1 is the weakest. Before Ms. Randolph and I tell ours, I want to know what the class thought. Honest, true talk answers. How many of you rated this book a 1? Nobody was a 1? Okay. How many of a 2? Anna, you raise your hand if you think so. Anna's a 2. 3. Oh, we got 3s. 4s. 5s. Nobody's a 5. Okay, so we're like 3.5, 3, something like that. Miss Randolph, 1 to 5, you were?
5.
Oh, you were a 5? Holy cow. So I read this book 2 times. I read it at the start of summer, and then I reread it in trying to think of things for you all. And the first time I read it, I was a 4. But the second time I read it, I was a 5, just because I was lifting so many things through it. Why were you a 5?
Telling you, it's a book that made me deeply feel. And I know I've already said that, but when a book moves me like that and sticks with me to where I'm remembering these relationships between characters, I thought about this book for a long time after I read it. And when a book does that to me and moves me like that, it's a 5.
Yeah. Last year's class read Remarkably Bright Creatures, and it's about an old lady who works in an aquarium and the octopus that escapes at night, and about her estranged grandson. And it was okay, but it was like drinking Kool-Aid. It was okay. There wasn't a lot of sugar in it. This one I have felt like, wow, was way more impactful. I just feel like it was a 5 for me. There's so many good things about it. All right. If you like this book, go read more Gabrielle Zevin. She has apparently like 10, 11 books that are out there. She's an amazing writer. Also, tell her that Jason Crockett thinks her writing is really good, and maybe she'll sponsor my podcast, and maybe she'll even do an interview for us. That would be cool, too. Like and subscribe to the show. We're getting ready to start season 2. You're going to hear episodes from these kids in this class. We're going to start doing intros with them, and they're going to get to talk about the things that they care about and the experiences they have. So read about it, talk about it, write about, and we'll see you all next week.
Be sure to ask the tough questions.
And have those hard conversations. Everybody say bye. Next week on With Honors, we're going to the movies.
Hi, I'm Langley. I'm Lorelai. I'm Jane.
Our episode today is about book to movie adaptations.
Oh.
What changes? What's the difference? How is what the author has to say different from what the director perceives and puts in his movie?
There'll be more of this, along with what made the movie adaptations great or not, next week. With Honors is a Free Zone Radio production, produced here in Sparta, Tennessee. If you enjoy this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, check out our brother podcasts, Second Stage, premiering this season, as well as A Dead Man's Books and Hastings Curations.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew, and I want to talk to you about my show, A Dead Man's Books. The show was created with the mindset of whenever I pass away, as morbidly as that sounds, that my children would inherit my books, and of all the things that I'm going to pass down to them, I think that that's the one thing that I want them to make sure that they keep and go through on their own time, but I want to be there next to them whenever they read these things. And so I created a podcast so that they could go back and listen to me and my friends and other people as we read through these books and what we had to think about it. But it's grown to so much more. We've got authors we interview. We talk about everyday life. We talk about how literature connects to life. All of those things in one place. And now we want you to come along with us and join us. This is a podcast not just for my kids, but for everyone who loves to read, everyone who loves a good story, everyone who's a parent, everyone who's a teacher, everyone who just enjoys literature. This is a place to come. So come join us every Monday on A Dead Man's Books.